Hello, and I'm Sean McAngus, and this is the Highland League podcast. Today's guest is Brechin City midfielder Anthony McDonald. In this interview, he talks about his title hopes with Brechin, what it was like dealing with the pressure of coming through at Hearts, being in the Hearts team that beat Brendan Rodgers Celtic, falling out of love with football, and much more. Hope you enjoy this interview. Okay, we'll start kind of right at the kind of beginning. What were your kind of earliest memories of playing football?
The earliest thing I remember is my brother actually went to, I've got an older brother, he actually started going to football training, and I was kind of just running about the side kicking a ball about with my dad, and it just kind of went from then. The coach had asked me to join in, and I mean I didn't know how to kick a ball of that, and all these kids were doing dribbling and passing and that, so I was a wee bit lost, but I loved it, and then I kept going back, and then it kind of went from there.
Yeah, so in terms of you started out, I noticed you started out at Livy. Can you talk a bit about that? Obviously, you were there before you kind of joined Hearts.
Yeah, I was obviously at the boys' club, and then I kind of joined pro youth a bit late. I think I went when I was about 11, 12, which normally you hear about kids going at like 7, 8, 9. But I think the main thing for me, and kind of under my dad's instruction, was kind of like just enjoy your football with your mates while you're young, and then we can join up if you're good enough and if you're ready. And that was kind of the thing for me. So I went to Livy when I felt like the time was right, and when I was younger, I'd always played a year above myself because I was with my brother. So I'd always played. He's a 2000. I was born in 2001, so I'd always played with a year older than me. And it was the same at Livy. I played for 2 years at Livy with the year above myself, and then it kind of got to the stage where everyone had taken that little growth spurt before me, so it was a bit difficult for me. So then I ended up dropping down to my own age, and I kind of felt the benefits from playing a year above myself. So it was good. I think it was 2 or 3 years at Livy I had, and I loved it. I had John Collins was the head of youth at Livy as well, who I'd worked with quite closely from when I was young. So it was really good. I loved it.
Yeah, so what was it like after you left there and ended up joining Hearts?
It was all a bit hectic because after the season had finished when I was at Livy, I played in my own age for a season, and once the season had finished at Livy, it was I kind of knew that I wanted to kind of move on and try and go somewhere a bit more challenging or a bit higher, and I was on trial at Hibs, and I was actually set to sign at Hibs, and their head of youth changed, so and then the new head of youth came in, and he kind of just pulled the plug on it, which was a bit gutting for me because at the time I was training with Hibs, I was enjoying it, and then Roger Arnott came in at Hearts, and he'd known me from when I was young because he's Dunfermline and I used to play in Dunfermline at Petrevie, so he used to watch all the time. So I'd known him my dad had known him for a while, so he'd come in and kind of got me along a few sessions at Hearts, and I enjoyed it. I was at school with a few boys at Hearts as well, so I kind of knew what I was going into before I'd gone, and since then it was brilliant. I loved it.
Yeah, so what was it like in that environment coming kind of through the youth setup? Was there a lot of pressure being at Hearts because they're a big club, they're one of the big ones?
To be fair, at that age you don't really feel pressure. The only kind of pressure that you feel is when you're coming up against a Rangers or a Celtic, especially at the kind of 13, 14, 15. It's just kind of football, that's all you think about. So not necessarily, I wouldn't say there was pressure. It wasn't till about 15, 16, and then I started playing with the under-20s, is when I started feeling the pressure of wanting to win every week and playing games that actually mattered.
Yeah, so how important is that in terms of, because a lot of people say, in the earlier years, you're not playing as much competitive.
I mean, especially at Hearts when I was there, philosophy at Hearts was, if you're doing well at under 14s, right, that's you. You move up to under 15s and you play a year above yourself. So it was kind of, especially at Hearts when I was there, it was all about developing kids. It wasn't about putting the pressure on them. Like, we used to play games against Hibs and we used to get battered 5-1 and we used to play really well, and the coach would come in and be like, I can't say anything because he's actually played really well. So it was kind of, it wasn't really about the result, it was about the development of the players, which was really good.
So who were the sort of kind of players that you came through?
The ones that have kind of made a career for themselves, obviously Harry, the boy Mark Leonard, he's at Brighton now.
Oh, yeah.
He was there, he was at Hearts. Connor Smith, he used to play up because he's a year younger, he used to play up with us. Chris Hamilton used to play. So we had a good group of boys.
Yeah, so in terms of when was the moment kind of that you thought I can break into this kind of first team, would you say?
I'm not sure, to be honest with you. It was kind of, that's a difficult one because I'd obviously known Craig Levine for a while, and he was the kind of head of academy or head of football at the time, and I'd always known that he kind of liked me. So it was kind of when he got the job, it was kind of right. I could have a chance to prove myself here, which was good.
Yeah. So what was it like kind of getting involved with like the first team training sessions and being involved in that?
Yeah, it was the first few times were a bit nerve-wracking. I mean, the first time I trained with the first team, I was 14. I was under Robbie Nielsen. I was actually eating breakfast in the morning. I was on day release from school, so I used to come in on a Thursday, and the sports scientist came up and he was like, "You're Rosity," and I was kind of like, "Oh no," my stomach kind of dropped a wee bit, but it was a bit nerve-wracking. You just try and not make any mistakes, because it is competitive, especially at a big club like Hearts. So the training is really competitive and really high intensity. So it was kind of more about getting through the session without getting screamed at the time. But looking back on it, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Any kind of funny moments with kind of first team players or stuff in
To
your
be honest
first
with you, I've
few?
not really got much off the top of my head. I mean, there's been a few kind of shouts by managers and changing rooms and stuff, but and bust ups in the changing room. But I don't think the people would appreciate me outing them on that. So I'll kind of keep my mouth shut about that.
In terms of your kind of debut at 16 against Dundee, what do you remember about kind of the lead up to the game and when you got told that you were making your debut?
Well, at the time, I was training kind of every day with the first team, and that I was in squads, but I wasn't on the bench and stuff like that. So I knew I was getting a bit closer, and then Jamie Walker, he was at Hearts at the time. He got injured, and I kind of felt like I could have maybe pushed my way onto the bench. And I think it was December, so we had quite a few games, and I was obviously part of the squad, and I just kind of thought that maybe it might come this month, and then obviously we played them. Was it a Tuesday or a Wednesday night? I think it was a Tuesday. It was the Monday. Austin McPhee came over to me and he said, "Just be ready for tomorrow because you will be involved." I was like, right, okay, right. I might get on the bench here. I might sneak 5 or 10 minutes. And then the day the game came, and we had a meeting before we went over at the stadium, and Craig had put the team on the screen, and I kind of seen my name there, and my stomach kind of dropped. I was like, oh wow, like it's getting a bit real now. But yeah, I was kind of sweating from in the car on the way to the game, but kind of when you step over that white line and you have that first 5 minutes to kind of get your breath back, it's just a normal game of football after that.
Yeah, so what was it like in terms of, being in front of kind of a bigger crowd and all of that, as well as kind of concentrating on your own game?
Yeah, it was really nerve-wracking, as I said. Like you kind of take 5 minutes to kind of get your breath back and calm down a little bit, and then after that, it's just kind of a normal game of football, like I said. But I was a nervous wreck in the changing room that day.
Mm. So what's it like playing at Tynecastle? Because it can be intimidating for teams coming to play Hearts at times.
Yeah, yeah, it's special. It is really special. It's an unbelievable stadium, and you see you see a lot of the pros now that have played at Tynecastle say that's the place they hate to go. Is because the fans are right on top of you, and when Hearts are doing well, they can create a really really good atmosphere. And as you see now, they're creating a really good atmosphere now as well. So yeah, it was really good to play there.
Mm. Did you feel kind of in terms of being one of their own, if you know what I mean, and coming through the youth academy? Because fans seem to be more proud about players like that. Did you feel that when you were kind of there, or?
Yeah, yeah, I did. I kind of felt that. Yeah, I mean, there was some games where I'd be really poor, and people would be saying, "Oh, you played really well," and that just I think it was just to try and kind of not hurt my feelings a wee bit because I'd come through the academy there. But yeah, there's definitely a bit of a soft spot with the fans for players that have come through the academy.
Yeah, so but you certainly hit the ground running in the Dundee game, got assists. How important was that for your kind of confidence?
Yeah, that was massive. To be fair, I don't really know how to describe it. It just kind of came so quickly, so I didn't really have time to actually sit and think about it. But looking back on it now, it was really important to get hit the ground running and start making my mark.
Hmm. So was all your family there at the game, or do you kind of remember?
No, actually, I think I can't even remember if my brother was there. Um, my dad was there. I know my dad was there, but forgive me, I don't really know if I can't remember if my brother was there. But I didn't actually know I was going to be starting. I said to my dad before, I was like, I hope I'm on the bench. Like that was kind of my like I just thought maybe I could get on the bench. And I was like, I really hope this is the day I get on the bench. Then obviously I'd been told that I was starting, so I kind of as soon as the meeting was done, I kind of got on my phone. I was like, oh, Dad, I'm starting. So it was kind of a big thing. So it was good.
Yeah, what was kind of the senior players like with you at first in terms of getting used to, that?
Yeah, yeah, it was. They were all really good. We had quite an older squad at the time, so they'd all been through it before. So um, it was kind of just a thing of like helping me through it, like they would like to be helped through it. And even the younger players. I mean, John Suter at the time was really young,
Hmm.
and he helped me through it really well as well. So it was kind of yeah, it was just they helped me through it really well.
Yeah. So in terms of at that point, there was a lot of kind of publicity about, you and Harry, coming through. Did you ever kind of feel kind of that pressure? Because at times with players, they seem to hype players up,
Yeah,
and it can be difficult to cope with because you're only
yeah,
starting out. So
yeah. There was quite a lot of pressure. It was kind of tough to deal with. But I mean, all the pressure goes away once you step on that pitch. You don't really think about anything. You just concentrate on the game. So it was kind of put to the back of your mind for 90 minutes, and then after that, it was back on you to behave right and train right and live your life right. Really, that was it. It was as soon as you crossed that white line, it was concentrate, and then after that, it was do everything right. After that.
yeah, did it feel a bit weird seeing kind of your face in the paper and stuff like that at first? Did that seem a bit odd to you?
Yeah, yeah, it was really, really weird. I would never have expected that, especially at 16 years old. I mean, I thought I would have been 18, 19 making my debut, but
Hmm.
thankfully I got the chance at 16, so it was really good. It was special.
Yeah, the other game that kind of stands out near your beginning at Hearts is the 4-0 thrashing of Brendan Rodgers Celtic, which just seemed to kind of
Yeah,
come out of nowhere. Obviously, you came on as a sub. What do you kind of remember about that game? Because it was so surreal, like the scoreline.
yeah, it was. I remember actually sitting on the bench like shaking in case I came on because that Celtic team were incredible. and I didn't really want to embarrass myself if I came on and had a really bad game. Like I knew it was on Sky and that as well, and I was kind of just thinking in my head. Um, but yeah, I got the call to come on. I think it was 65 minutes or something like that, and I think we were 3-0 up at the time already. So I kind of had a little bit of hope, but you didn't. Like the thing is with that Celtic team is you never really know, or you never really knew when they were down and out. So there was always that chance. If you gave them one goal, they could get another two in another 2 minutes. It was kind of like that. So it was that game was kind of just trying to see the 3-0 out, and luckily we won a penalty, made it 4, and then I kind of had a little breath and thought, yeah, that's how we've done it.
But in terms of that season, you've played with like kind of a lot of good players, like likes of the boy Hickey who's away down south
Yeah,
now, and Lafferty. So what was it like playing alongside those sort of players? Obviously, Hickey's kind of similar kind of ages to yourself.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I actually remember Hickey coming through. He was under 18s, and he came and played up with the 20s a few games when we played, and he was really good. He was solid. And then a couple of the first team left backs got injured, and he kind of just got shoved in, and he dealt with it really, really well. But you could tell he was a really, really good player. He was both footed. He was big, physical, strong. You knew he was going to go places, and it's good to see him doing really well at the moment. And
yeah,
and Kyle Lafferty. You know what I mean? He's a big name, big character. Um, Really, really good goal scorer. He done really well at Hearts, and he dealt with me really well as well. I had a good relationship with him, which was good.
yeah. So how important is it kind of in terms of learning from experienced players, like him and ours obviously played alongside kind of Naismith and stuff.
Yeah, Naismith especially was massive for me. Um, I think, to be honest with you, with Naismith, you could play a game of football with your eyes closed.
Hmm.
He would just talk you through the whole game, and I was lucky enough to have 2, 3, 4 games with him, which was really good for me, and I felt like I played well in those games as well, which was good. But with Kyle as well, with his career, he just kind of try and replicate things that he does on the pitch, and and he's such a good goal scorer, and you can't really argue with his goal scoring record either.
Yeah, so what sort of things did you kind of learn from Naismith? What was there kind of specific things he kind of said to you to do to kind of adjust your
To
game
be
or
fair,
improve?
with Naismith, it was just how kind of positioning wise and how to play the game really, because he's so experienced. You can tell on the pitch he's so experienced with his runs and his movement. It was that type of stuff, and then obviously you've got the off the ball stuff and
Hmm.
pressing and everything. Like he could genuinely, you could play the game with a blindfold on, and you would play well because he's behind you, screaming in your ear, screaming in your ear, screaming in your ear. And it's good to have someone like that next to you, especially with the experience and the career that he's had.
Yeah, so you went on to have kind of loan spells at kind of Inverness and Dunfermline. How do you kind of reflect on kind of those spells?
Inverness was my first loan. It was kind of orchestrated by John Robertson. I'd known him for a wee while because obviously he was coach of Hearts under 17s, and I was a couple of years below then. But obviously he'd come and watch us, and we'd speak to him. So I'd known him for a while. So I went up there at 17, I think it was, and I loved it. Obviously I wanted to play every minute, and it kind of never worked out like that, obviously. But I still played. I think it was 15 games from January till the end of the season, which was really, really good for my development and getting first team football as well. It was a shame that we couldn't really go up. We got beat off Dundee United in the playoffs, which was a bit of a shame, but it was really good. I loved it. It was a challenge living away from home by myself, away from mum and dad.
Hmm.
But it's something that's made me a bigger person, a bigger man. It's grown me up a little bit. And my second loan was Dunfermline. which was kind of plagued with injuries. So I never really got the full experience of the loan. I think I made 2 sub appearances at Dunfermline at the time, and that was after 3-4 months injured. So by the time I'd come back, I was kind of not really match fit. I'd played 2 games and I got recalled from Stendhal, so it was a bit of a shame how it worked out at Dunfermline, but they were a good club, a lot of good people working for them as well.
Yeah, so how hard is that, like, in terms of getting injuries as you're kind of trying to make progress, you know?
Yeah, it's really not nice. I mean, especially at that age, you just 16, 17, 18, 19, you just want to play football all the time, and that's how it is. And kind of just being in that rehab room, you're just bored, and you just want to go and play football. And especially when you see everyone else going out to train and play games and winning and scoring goals, it is tough. It's bad, like, but I mean, it's something that happens to everyone. So can't really argue with it, can you?
Yeah. So in terms of obviously got recalled by Stendhal, what was he like as a manager compare, you know, Levine and him? What were they kind of like? Obviously, you had more time with Levine.
With Stendhal, it was kind of, he came in with a clear idea, and he just he knew what he wanted to do, and we tried to replicate that, but probably at the time he probably didn't have the squad to do it. He didn't have his players in and stuff, which would have been quite tough for him. But you could tell he had a clear idea of what he wanted to do, and everyone was 100 mile an hour, pressing, counter pressing. It's unfortunate the way it worked out for him, but you could tell he was a really good coach.
So were you still there as the whole situation about, you know,
Yeah,
going down and
yeah,
stuff? So what?
yeah. I was there. Obviously, it was with the COVID.
Aye. So what was that like? It must have been weird because I remember reading you jumping over a fence to get into a public football
Aye,
pitch to train or something like that.
yeah. So obviously with the relegation thing, I don't actually really understand what happened. I just got kept in the loop with a WhatsApp group chat.
Mm.
But with the COVID thing, it was really weird. Like, we were off for ages, so we'd ended up getting sent a program, and I couldn't run on concrete because of my back, so I had to jump over the public astros and public fences to try and get on an astro to try and train. But with the COVID thing, it was horrible. You could just tell everyone was just itching to get back into a normal routine and back into training, really.
Yeah. So what was it like getting back to kind of training and some sort of normality when football kind of resumed to an extent?
Yeah, it was different. It was really different. We actually, the first couple of days or the first couple of weeks we went back, we were actually training in small groups. So we had, I think it was groups of 12 or something, groups of 10 maybe.
Mm.
And we all had different training times. So we'd all come in, and like, we had to get tested and that before we come in, and we'd all park in set parking spaces, and we were out in small groups, and then we didn't have any changing rooms, so it was train back in your car home, train back in your car home.
Mm.
It was weird, but the training was just kind of normal football training. It was just the groups and the numbers. You couldn't really get a squad morale, really, because everyone was training at different times, so it was a bit weird, but there's nothing you could really do about it at that time, was there?
How important kind of has Craig Levine been in terms of your career kind of so far, would you say?
Yeah, he's been massive. Even now, he's still at Brechin. He's still massive. I mean, like I said earlier, I've known him for ages. When he was the head of football at Hearts, he was the one that actually signed me for Hearts from Livy.
Mm.
Him and Roger Arnott are the two that signed me from Livy. So he had a huge influence on me going to Hearts in the first place, and then kind of having an eye over me for the whole time from the academy over at the first team, and then you see him giving me my debut, and then playing me in games like the Celtic game, which I would never have expected anyone else to play me in. It was kind of just that trust that he had with the young players, which was really, really huge.
Yeah. So in terms of when was kind of the moment that you kind of thought, I want to leave Hearts and see what, what else is kind of out there? When was kind of that moment?
Well, it was a bit of a weird one because we'd obviously come back from the COVID, and so what happened actually? So obviously Robbie Nielsen had taken the job and he'd come in, and I was enjoying training. I was training well. I was doing well, and then I got injured again, my back again. So I was struggling a little bit. But then I'd come back, and he'd already signed a few, 3 or 4 players already in my position. So I kind of got the gist. I was like, I might not get as much game time as I want or kind of need at this stage of my career to develop. So it was kind of one of those ones where I just said to my agent, could you have a look about and see if there's anyone that would take me? Because I feel like I need to develop here, and I don't think I'm going to get it. So that was kind of the moment that I'd known that I probably wouldn't have played as much as I would like to or needed to develop at that time. So that was it, really.
Yeah. So obviously you ended up kind of going to Spain and that didn't kind of go to plan. Was there ever kind of other options to kind of stay in Scotland or go, down
To be
south
honest
or
with you,
wherever?
at the time it was kind of, so my agent had phoned me and he said, listen, there's a club from Spain that want to take you. And kind of my eyes popped out my head. I was, oh my, Spain. Like, that's unbelievable. Like, it was kind of, since I heard about that, it was kind of just tunnel vision, really. Like, I wanted to go to Spain. And that was it, really. I didn't even think about anything else. It was kind of just, as soon as I heard about Spain, that was that. And I probably should have had a look into other stuff, like, but it was kind of, you know what it's like, the football in Spain and the lifestyle and that. You're like, oh, that's brilliant. I would love that. So it was kind of tunnel vision from then.
Yeah, and the heat wave.
Yeah, I wish.
So in terms of your kind of time out there, it obviously didn't work out. What was it like kind of going through, everything that happened, with the paperwork and stuff?
It was horrible. Like, I think that's what put me off football as a whole. When I actually came back, I actually sat down with my mum and dad and said, listen, that's put me off. Like, I hated that. That was horrible. Just, I think the way that they dealt with it, and probably just, it was a bit weird. It's a bit hard to explain. But it's just, it was horrible. I hated it.
Yeah, did that kind of make you lose trust in terms of, dealing with, people or
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, 100%. Because especially then, it was like all I wanted to do was play football. Like, it kind of put me off football as a whole because there was so much more politics involved in it and that transfer than I thought there would have been. I thought it would have just been sign the papers, do the medical, that's me. But there was a lot more involved in that. And obviously, I'd failed the medical, so there was a lot of politics involved in it anyway. So it was difficult to get around. And I mean, I was there for 3 4 months without getting paid and stuff like that. So it was difficult. It was tough. So it kind of did put me off a wee bit. Like,
Yeah, so what did you end up getting up to in those kind of months that you were there then? What?
so I was over there, and I was lucky enough that my mum and dad came over for a bit, and my girlfriend obviously came over. So I was kind of never alone at a certain time. But like, when I was there, no one spoke English. Like, and I mean, I done Spanish at school, but I wasn't fluent Spanish. And I mean, once I'd done my Spanish exam, I kind of just chucked Spanish to the back of my head and kind of forgot about it all. So it was tough. The communicating was really difficult. So I kind of found myself stuck in my house or my flat for 12 hours, 13 hours a day, and then I'd go to sleep. So I was kind of in the house 20, 21 hours a day, which was horrible. So it really wasn't nice.
So what was it like kind of coming home to Scotland? Was it a bit of relief once you kind of got back or?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it was, yeah, it was a big relief. To be fair, from when I signed him and I got told that I'd failed my medical and that, it was kind of, how do I get home?
Mm.
Because I just wanted to go home after that, after knowing that I hadn't signed properly and things weren't going my way. It was kind of just let me go home and find somewhere else where I can settle and enjoy myself and get the love for the game back and play football. Really, that was it. But coming home was really good. Obviously, I spoke to a few clubs and I was training 1-to-1 by myself. I trained Bury Rovers for a little bit, which was
Yeah.
good of John McGlynn to bring me in and get me fit again.
Yeah, so moving up to kind of to Cali on a permanent kind of deal, was that kind of a no brainer in terms of you been there before and kind of know
Yeah, yeah,
how?
100%. Yeah, it was moving up to Cali was good. Obviously, when I'd come back from Spain, I was kind of on the lookout for clubs, and obviously I was training with Rafe, but they didn't have any budget to the summer, so I knew that was kind of out of the equation. And then my agent had texted John Robertson, and John Robertson was like, "Yeah, we'll take him straight away." So, which was good of him to put that trust in me again. So obviously I moved up there, and then I done my knee a couple of days into it. So after that, I was out for another 6-7 months, which wasn't planned or ideal. So again, after that, I struggled even more to kind of look forward to the future and kind of think that I could be back here.
Mm. And then obviously you went to kind of Edinburgh City. What was it like? Kind of, obviously you were kind of youth championship. Kind of, what was it like going down kind of the divisions for kind of the first time in terms of being with Edinburgh City?
Yeah, it was okay. Obviously, Gary Naismith was the manager at Edinburgh at the time, and I just left. I think it was January. I just left Inverness, so I was kind of on the lookout for a club um, that I kind of knew the manager, and I knew that it would be a good place for me to go. And obviously, Edinburgh were a good side. They were challenging for playoffs or promotion. So going there was kind of an easy choice for me, especially with Gary being there.
Mm.
And I loved Edinburgh. It was really good. Obviously, towards the end, obviously I'd hurt my back again, so I was injured. So it was another struggle, but um, it was really good. I enjoyed my time there. They're a really good group of boys as well, and eventually we ended up getting promotion, which was the icing on the cake.
Yeah, so in terms of after you left Edinburgh City, I remember reading how you were kind of wanting to kind of give up kind of football. Um, what was kind of the moment that kind of led to that? Would you say?
Um, I think it was kind of, so obviously at the end of the season at Edinburgh, I'd been injured again, and um, my contract was up, so that was me finished. Um, and I just kind of, it had been brewing for a wee while that I'd just been like, I just can't do this anymore. Like my body's just knackered.
Mm.
Um, that's probably a defeatist attitude for me, like, but um, it was tough. Obviously my back had gone again, so it was hard. But at the end of the season, I was kind of like, right, I'm going to take a little break out and see how I get on. And after that, it just kept going and kept going, and I kind of just thought to myself, right, I think that could be me.
Yeah, so what do you kind of recall about kind of the chat with kind of Andy Kirk that kind of convinced you to kind of give football a go again? What do you recall about
He'd actually texted me before at the end of the season and asked me what my plans and that were, and obviously I had a few messages back and forth, but nothing really came from it. And as the time went on, I was just chilling. I was working. I was playing golf. I was enjoying myself. I was just living a normal life without football. Um, and then he actually got in touch again one time, and he texted me, and then he phoned me, um, and we were just speaking about past experiences and stuff like that, and how he thinks that obviously going to Brechin could help me get my mojo back and enjoy myself and love the game again. and obviously had him at Hearts, so I'd known him again, and he was really good to me at Hearts, and I really liked him. He was one of my favourite coaches, so being there was probably a bit of a no-brainer, but it was just trying to get that thought out of my head that I can't do this anymore, which he done, and it's turned out to be really good.
Yeah, so what was it like? Obviously, had you known much about the kind of Highland League before you kind of joined Brechin?
No, I'd never actually. There was actually talk about me going to a Highland League team in the January that I left Inverness. There was talk about me going to the Highland League just for a loan because I'd just come back from my knee. Um, so it was just a loan to get me game time for, I think it was a month or something, but it never ever came to fruition. But nah, I'd never known anything about the Highland League before that.
Yeah, so what were your kind of earliest kind of impressions in terms of the first few games you played, would you say?
It's a really competitive league. I mean, obviously you've got the big boys and like Bucky and Brora, who are all really, really good sides. It's a really physical league, and I mean the top end of the Highland League could probably easily play in League Two as well. They've got that quality and that, and you probably notice that with the Lowland League as well. Probably the top teams in the Lowland League could probably end up playing in League Two as well. So there's really not that much of a difference between Highland, Lowland, and kind of League Two. So it was kind of much the same as League Two, as I said.
So how have you found the bus journeys to the different grounds all over the place from Wick to everywhere?
To be fair, luckily we stayed overnight in Inverness before we went to Wick, so it was we kind of broke the journey up a little bit, which was good. But the bus journeys are torture. We're lucky we've got the good bus and we've got the seats and we've got a good group of lads on the bus as well. But I mean, if you could cut those journeys in half, that would be ideal.
But it's what have you made of the kind of different grounds? Because they're all kind of different. Like some of them are pretty decent, and then you've sadly missed out on Fort William, which would have been a cracker.
Oh, yeah, that would have been a good one to go to. Actually, I've watched their documentary as well, which was good. So it would have been a good one to go to. But I mean, all the grounds they're all pretty old grounds. They're all pretty historic. They've got their meaning behind them. So yeah, it's always good to go and play at a different ground. So yeah, they're all good grounds.
Yeah, so kind of going forward, what would you say your kind of ambitions are? Are you kind of feeling this is like an opportunity to springboard, onto, bigger kind of things later? Or
to be honest with you, at the moment, it was the whole point of me signing for Brechin was to enjoy my football again, and at the moment that's what I'm doing, and I've not really got any thought. I've not really had to think about anything future wise. I just want to take it one game at a time, keep enjoying my football, and see where it takes me.
Yeah. So this was I got a message by a Brechin supporter to ask you this. So do you? This is just a straightforward question. So do you think you'll win the league and get promoted through the playoffs?
I hope so. I hope so. I think if we keep winning games and keep doing well, then we've got one hell of a chance.
So over kind of the course of your career so far, who would you say is kind of been the best players you've played with and played against?
Played with, I mean, you've got Christoph Berra. I mean, you've got Stephen Naismith, Kyle Lafferty, Aaron Hickey. You've got a lot of them. I played with Billy Gilmore at Scotland as well, so you've got a fair pick of really good players as well, and there's probably been some that I've missed out as well. Against, I mean, you could pick anyone from that Celtic team that we beat. You could probably pick anyone from that Rangers team that we played against as well when I played at Ibrox. So, I mean, there's a lot of players, but probably the couple that stick out: Scott Sinclair, Edward, Moussa Dembele, Scott Brown. I mean, you've got a lot of them which are doing really well now. So yeah, it's been one hell of a journey.
Yeah, and you're still young, so still got
Yeah, of
plenty
course.
of
I'm still only 21, so plenty of
yeah.
time.
So which seems like pretty surreal, considering all the kind of different experiences you've had so far. It must be weird, considering it's your only kind of at the beginning.
Yeah, it is a bit weird. I mean, coming through at 16, you don't actually realise how young that is until you you're like 21 and people are saying to you, "Oh, you're still a kid," basically. So you don't actually realise how young you actually are at the time. So yeah, I've still got a lot in front of me, I hope.
Yeah. So you mentioned a bit about your coaching. Is that something you've always kind of wanted to get into, or?
Um, I would always like to coach, yeah.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know about a managerial job. I think that might be a bit too thingy for me at the moment. But yeah, I'm enjoying the coaching. I've got a really good couple of groups that I've got as well, so it's good.
Kind of looking back at your kind of playing career so far, what are your kind of any kind of funny memories that you've had maybe on bus journeys or instance on the pitch that you kind of recall or
To be honest with you, again, I can't really bring any off the top of my head. My mates actually always remind me of the time that we played Celtic and we beat them 4-0, and I actually squared up to Dedrick Boyata, which is probably not my smartest move because I think I would have got flattened. But my mates always remind me of that one. But apart from that, I can't really pick any from the top of my head.
yeah, you're still here to tell the tale, so
Yeah, thankfully, I think if it wasn't on a football pitch, I wouldn't have been here.
mm. So what is it kind of like, when you were like 16, obviously football's like physical. What was it like going up against like the more experienced players, at first? Getting used to kind of the rough
Yeah,
and tumble kind of
yeah, it was. To be fair, I kind of I played up a few years since I was I mean 3 4 years old, so I'd always known about playing against people that are bigger and stronger than me. Um, but when you play the men's game, it's a completely different ball game, really, innit? Especially with experienced pros in the middle of midfields or whatever. It's tough to start off with, but you kind of get used to it, and when you've got senior players behind you helping you out and talking you through the game, it always helps.
yeah. So final few questions. So in terms of have you ever obviously you meant you want to go out to Spain and stuff. Have you ever kind of had any other opportunity bizarre moves to go abroad or not really or
Um, there was actually a link a couple of years ago in the paper about me going to Paphos in Cyprus. Because obviously I was born in Cyprus,
oh yes.
so I I would actually qualify as a homegrown player for them, and they've got something in their rules or something that they need
Mm.
to have a certain amount of homegrown players. So I think they'd obviously inquired about me. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but I just looked on my phone one day and I'd seen it in the Daily Mail, and I'd be like, all right, okay, I don't know what's happened here, but um, to be fair, I don't know the ins and outs of it, but I remember reading that in the paper. Um, and obviously, my agent, when I'd come back from Spain, kind of tried to look abroad again, but I think I kind of wanted to stay at home and start enjoying my football again before I jumped into a move like that again.
Yeah. So for yourself as kind of a young Scottish player, what is it kind of like, seeing the likes of kind of Hickey and um Gilmore and different players kind of make the grade kind of down south? What is it like seeing? Is that kind of something you would kind of aim to, or what's kind of
Um, yeah, it's obviously, especially the boys, it's good seeing them doing well, and I think the two that you've mentioned really deserve it because they work really hard. They're both really good players, and both ultimate really good guys. So they deserve every minute that they're getting. Um, and for me at the moment, like I said, it's just trying to enjoy my football, get back to a consistent level of playing, and then kind of see where that takes me.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Highland Podcast. Make sure to leave a review if you enjoy this podcast and to keep up to date with the podcast, you subscribe on your chosen podcast platform. Hope you can join me next time for another interesting interview.